Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Morton, SVP of Product and Engineering at Trellix, and joining me today is Rohit U, SVP of Product Management and Strategy. And Rohit, it's always great seeing you, and thank you for taking the time today. I know you've been really busy these past few weeks and months traveling and meeting with customers all over the world.
Thanks, Sean. Always great to be here.
Given your regular engagement with customers and our partners and the analyst community and many others in the industry, I'd love to get your perspectives on what are you hearing? Specifically, what are some of the key challenges and top of mind topics that you hear from our customers in those conversations?
Well, that's a continuously evolving uh, set of priorities from a customer base across the globe. What I'm hearing as a common trend is how do we adopt AI with the last few years in terms of what we've seen happen across AI in general, adoption of AI at large scale in terms of enterprise enablement is a big concern for most organizations. What does that mean? How do you protect the adoption of AI within your workspace? How does that actually impact your security posture? How does that actually impact productivity? How does this affect, if any, in terms of compliance and regulations, in terms of how you continue to do business? And what are the security considerations that needs to be taken around it? That's one of the most common themes I'm hearing. The second is more around data sovereignty and the impact of data security, again, as a result of AI adoption. Because as we all know, AI is predominantly driven in terms of the data that it has access to. All of this is kind of a symbiotic relationship between these two predominant concerns. And then what I'm hearing all the more now is the critical infrastructure and the threat to critical infrastructure. Over the last, I believe, 2 years, especially at Trellix, what we have seen is a significant shift in the attacks against critical infrastructure. 5, 6 years ago, we saw it was mostly focused on healthcare. Now we are seeing it across all critical infrastructure, and it's actually heavily moving towards a nation state approach as opposed to cyber criminals or groups of cyber criminals actually pushing for easy money. What does that mean? That means now the barrier to attacks have come down significantly because, hey, guess what? The cyber criminals, threat actors are using AI to actually accelerate the assessments of the critical infrastructure, the software components, the ability to understand and assimilate the vulnerabilities if there is any, and potentially even identify exploits and leverage those. This is also combined with the heavy automation of attack infrastructure by the said threat actors. These are some of the common things that I'm hearing. How about you, Sean? What are you hearing nowadays?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's certainly AI is number one front and center. What are you doing from an AI perspective in terms of products and capabilities to accelerate the response workflows to, yeah, how do we protect these AI systems that we're prototyping all over the place, but we might not have full control over the inputs and outputs of those systems. So that is certainly one area. And then, as you mentioned too, how this relates to just the impact around critical infrastructure itself and sort of the growing complexity of those threats and the real world impact of them. It's not just about taking down systems now. It's about taking down infrastructure that could impact schools. I know we have kids in school systems. Like that's a real world impact, impacting hospitals with taking down systems and impacting patients, experiences in health, to power plants and impacting just the daily lives of millions of people. So certainly hear that time and time again. This reminds me though, I've always admired the toughness of being a security practitioner and leader, and what you were just describing. It certainly highlights, just a vast array of complex topics to manage and prioritize. And I've always said, a CISO has probably one of the toughest jobs because of the amount of capabilities and tooling and things out there at their disposal. So I think the question for me is, based on all these challenges that we're hearing, what should organizations prioritize in their cybersecurity strategy to ultimately strengthen their posture?
I think I think the immediate challenges are keeping up, the accelerated pace with the automated attack infrastructure that threat actors are actually building, which means that we, as defenders of uh, the organizations and the enterprises at large and the critical infrastructure at large, need to equally leverage AI and also automation capabilities for defense. Simply put, because there's no other way to keep up with the amount of attacks that we are seeing being proliferated across different segments in the ecosystem. The second thing that I hear very uh, frequently in terms of how to automate and what level of insights to actually adapt to automate is actual operational threat intelligence. The importance of operational threat intelligence is very key here because with AI, with the proliferation of AI, the landscape is evolving at a very, very rapid pace. We have actors who are adapting known exploits, shared code in terms of ransomware, malware. Uh, all of this is actually being modified and utilized in a large scale manner across the board. So it is equally imperative that the world at large is also able to share operational threat intelligence as well. And last but not the least, the importance of a resilient hybrid infrastructure. We do not have resiliency across our infrastructure as much as we desire. Simply put, because we have been evolving as the digital transformation has happened. In some cases, it is organic. In some cases, it is inorganic, as you have seen what has happened with the pandemic and COVID. A lot of it was inorganic and brought on by the conditions that were imposed on the world at large because of the pandemic. So, going back to resiliency in terms of the infrastructure, we have to look at how to potentially invest and be more resilient in defending the infrastructure at large and how to basically invest in a more hybrid ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely agree that hybrid approach and ensuring you have the right visibility across all aspects of your infrastructure. You have that visibility, you have those controls, and you have those response capabilities is so key. And just to reemphasize your mention around matching the AI speed of attackers to the defenders, absolutely critical importance. So I'm fully with you there as well. So Rohit, it's as always, thank you for your insights and perspectives, and thank you everyone for listening. I hope you found this valuable, and please stay tuned for our next episode to learn how Trellix helps customers address some of these challenges. And so to learn more about Trellix, please see us on LinkedIn or at trellix.com. Cheers and stay safe.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everyone.
Well, hello, I'm Sean Morton, SVP of Product and Engineering at Trellix, and joining me once again is Rohit U, SVP of Product Management and Strategy. In our first episode, we discussed with you some of the key challenges we hear from our customers, ranging from AI adoption to data sovereignty issues and securing critical infrastructure. The cybersecurity landscape, it continues to expand and become more complex for everyone. The net of this is that many of us are feeling these impacts in recent cyber events, from infrastructure outages to supply chain attacks to 0 days and critical CVEs are having a significant disruption on businesses and daily lives. We also discussed ways customers can think about prioritizing strategies to address these challenges. Our reality is that customers sit across different spans of the cyber maturity pendulum. As cybersecurity vendors, we must equip our defenders and protectors with solutions that fit their business, where and how they operate. So given all this, Rohit, how does Trellix think about our customers' cyber maturity journey in relation to these challenges and others?
That's a great question, Sean. So, Trellix views every organization's cyber maturity journey not as a final destination, but as a continuous evolving process. We understand and recognize that every organization is at a different point on that maturity journey, depending on which industry and or part of the world they operate in. And each one of them are facing a unique mix of the exact challenges you mentioned earlier, from secured adoption of AI to fending of AI powered attacks to critical infrastructure resiliency to maintaining regulatory compliance and everything in between, including mandates for data localization and data sovereignty. So the Trellix approach is to meet customers where they are and provide a very clear path forward. We don't believe in a one size fits all solution. Instead, we focus on helping organizations build a resilient, adaptable, and intelligent security posture.
Well, yeah, Rohit, I mean, I think that makes a ton of sense. And, the way I like to think about it is for organizations that are just starting that maturity journey, this typically means gaining visibility, consolidating that chaotic vendor landscape. And so when you think about consolidation, I like to think of us as helping you move away from a Franken stack of disconnected tools towards a single AI powered security platform. And the goal for this is really just to immediately reduce complexity, improve visibility, lower the burden on teams. And think about the modernization of the workforce, largely brought about by the advent of AI. How do organizations plan to leverage AI while ensuring workspace security evolves as well? And Trellix has been really a pioneer in this workspace security, both as a solution and a managed service. And we're helping organizations continuously modernize their enterprise workforces. And then related to that, when you think about things like MDR, that managed service overlay, our Trellix MDR service extends your teams, providing that 24 by 7 by 365 threat hunting, monitoring, and response. And really, this allows you to achieve a mature security outcome, such as fast detections of 0 days, without requiring you to hire a large team of elite analysts. So, just given that more or less mature perspective, what are your thoughts on this from a more mature organization standpoint?
For a highly mature organization, it could be optimizing an existing SOC with AI driven automation, seamless threat hunting across a large footprint, highly empowering usability experience that accelerates the KPIs corresponding to very sensitive security maturity organizations with air gapped infrastructure, for example. When you think about high efficiency combined with proactive security posture assessment for continuous risk reduction, think about platform wide interconnected security controls. For instance, pivot quickly between network insights, whether it's east, west, or north, south, to corresponding endpoint or host insights without manually running very expensive queries in a separate data lake or another vendor SIM. This is where Trellix truly, as a platform, brings the defense in breadth and scale as an advantage. Now, when you think about even more regulated environments like critical infrastructure, we partner with major critical infrastructure agencies and organizations across the globe to embed security and telemetry into their secure by design approach. And Gen AI for investigations is something that we've been actually using across our, Advanced Research Center organization as well. So the ARC, or the Advanced Research Center, feeds up-to-date, precise intelligence on nation-state actors and complex supply chain attacks directly into our platform. So we effectively are able to provide the expert teams with Gen AI-powered tools to accelerate their own investigations and threat hunts, reducing investigation times from days to minutes. So if you look at the overall landscape, Trellix believes in and adheres to the principle that the security maturity journey is a continuous evolving process of building resilience. Whether you're just starting and need to stop the bleeding, or you're a mature organization looking to hunt threat actors living off the land, our goal is to provide the platform of tools, insights, intelligence, and expertise to help customers.
Well, Rohit, I truly appreciate the insights and thank you for sharing Trellix's approach. I may be biased, but you are absolutely spot on in terms of meeting customers where they are in that journey. So once again, I hope everyone found this brief discussion valuable. Trellix will continue to listen and learn from our customers, doing everything we can to elevate everyone's cyber maturity. Please engage with us on LinkedIn or at trellix.com to further these discussions and learn how Trellix can help. And cheers, and as always, stay safe.